On Midweek Sports Special tonight, European Cup football as we follow the European champions Aston Villa against Dinamo Bucharest of Romania and Celtic against the Spanish champions Real Sociedad. All this on a night when Spurs have an unhappy time in the fog in Munich. There's explosive boxing with Marvin Hagler in knockout form and ice hockey in the Carlsberg Cup. There's a full roundup of all the night's sports news. There's some great action coming your way immediately after news at 10.
Buy Solvite all-purpose wallpaper adhesive and you could win a top striker for the season. And for every goal he scores, you'll get an incredible £100. So strike it rich in the Solvite £30,000 Win a Top Striker competition.
Now we're standing by for the return of the big match, including the game between Portsmouth and Aston Villa.
Hey amigos, I'm PK, one of the new toys in Kinder Supplies. Find the right one and you can make this PK model.
Midweek Sports Special at 10:30 includes highlights of the European Cup Winners' Cup final, plus boxing from America featuring Ken Norton and Jerry Cooney. Midweek Sports Special at 10:30, and that completes our look at Wednesday evening here on Southern.
Good evening, and tonight an important game here at Wembley so far as England's morale was concerned. But the spotlight in many ways was on the Brazilians, now getting back to their traditional standards of skill and excitement. A team that's become the first to qualify for the 1982 World Cup, and now they're starting a three-match European tour that takes them on to France and then on to West Germany.
Get your figures straight. All margarines, 80% fat. Polyunsaturated margarines, 80% fat. Even low cholesterol margarines, 80% fat. St. Ivel Gold, 40% fat. Eat the one with half the fat. Gold from St. Ivel.
And John McEnroe behaves like a perfect gentleman in a couple of minutes. Two groups of boys in tracksuits. Both are apprentices. One group are being trained as professional footballers, the other as professional ballet dancers. Which group is which? These boys are the dancers, and next week we will see them train. But this week we go to Liverpool and the Kop.
Tommy, hold it! Balance on it! Go ahead, Stevie! Go ahead, Stevie! Go ahead,
Stevie! The race to the White House has always been long and hard. And along the way, it sure helps to find the right running mate.
Howdy, Mr. Lincoln. Perky's the name. Henry D. Perky.
Beat it, Buster. I'm busy.
But, Mr. Lincoln, my new shredded wheat cereal has all the bran fiber of 100% whole wheat.
You don't say.
No added salt nor sugar neither.
So?
So two's fine if you're running for a bus. But since you're running for president...
3 shredded wheat?
Mm-hmm.
Gee, thanks, Perky. The hat's mighty fine, too. Shredded wheat, the original bran fiber cereal.
Hey, Mum, are you throwing away my trainers? They're almost new.
Well, they smell old. I'm going to wear them on the windowsill for a month. Or we're going to start using Super Tough Odour Eaters.
Super Tough Odour Eaters insoles for trainers contain millions of particles of activated charcoal to absorb perspiration and destroy foot and trainer odour.
Thanks, Mum. My trainers don't smell like trainers anymore.
Super Tough Odour Eaters for trainers and regular Odour Eaters for ordinary shoes.
After school, we played football. Dad said he could have played for United, but he married Mum instead. He said the old magic was still there, but Mum called half-time and gave us all a Milky Way. Milky Way's really ace. It's milk chocolate on the outside and all whipped up fluffy and light in the middle. Later, Dad showed us some fancy footwork. We could see he hadn't lost his touch, but we decided it was time for tea.
Milky Way, the sweets you can eat between meals without ruining your appetite.
The Indian Cricket Control Board ruled today that it would not allow any of its players to represent their country if they signed for Kerry Packer. India are due to take part in the Prudential World Cup in this country this summer, followed by a test tour. It's thought at least 6 Indian players have signed or are about to sign for Kerry Packer. At Haydock Park, 8 entries for this year's Grand National were among the starters for the 3-mile Greenall Whitley handicap chase. As they came towards the last 2 fences, 5 of the national horses were in contention, including today's favourite, Alverton and Irish Tony. The commentator is Julian Wilson.
But Irish Tony's making a bit of ground from the back as they come towards the second last fence. And at the second last, Alverton over from Lucy's over in second place. Artistic Prince on the far side is third. Then comes Irish Tony and Rambling Artist and Born Oaks as they race down towards the last. And it's Alverton and John Joe O'Neill who look strongest. Alverton going 2 or 3 lengths clear now from Lucius in second and Artistic Prince in third at the last. And Alverton's over it. He's over it clear from Lucius, Artistic Prince, Irish Tony and Rambling Prince, and on the run in, it's Alverton going clear now for John Joe O'Neill. He's going to win this race for the second year running. Alverton storming away now, and what a Grand National trial this is. Alverton going further and further clear as Lucius gets very, very tired indeed, and Artistic Prince plugs on, and Rambling Artist is running on again. But Alverton with a lead of 15 lengths at the line. Alverton's the winner.
And the clear-cut winner was followed by Rambling Artist, Lucius and Artistic Prince, all Grand National entries.
In Spain, soccer players are to go ahead tomorrow with their first strike. Players' representatives say that after a week of negotiations over their contracts, there's no chance of the strike being called off. From Madrid, Christopher Morris reports.
Spaniards have still been hopefully filling in their pool's coupons, but no one's likely to hit the jackpot this week. And even Spain's pool's promoters, who don't have the benefit of an English-style pools panel, are already complaining about a loss exceeding £2 million. The Spanish clubs, though, will suffer most. Real Madrid, the most famous of all, is no exception. The tens of thousands of disappointed Spanish fans aren't exactly sympathetic about this strike. Apart from missing their Sunday afternoon's football, they complain that the players are far too highly paid anyway. But in the dressing room, the team's strike committee was outraged by the accusations of greed. Yes, maybe some of the players were earning more than £100,000 a year. But this was a strike about players' conditions, not money. They want freedom to negotiate their own contracts. Also, social security benefits, health insurance, pensions, something they don't get under the present system when their playing days are over. The clubs, however, have reacted angrily, threatening to fine every striking player 25% of his annual wages. And the club bosses all agree this first ever strike by Spain's soccer stars is not very sporting.
And that's the news and sport on 2. Our late news tonight at 11 o'clock.
At 9:40, highlights of yesterday's South African Formula One Grand Prix.
Olympic champion Sebastian Coe will have his training expenses for the rest of his amateur career paid by the Sports Aid Foundation. He's won the Sir John Cohen Memorial Award, as our sports correspondent Mike Blakey reports.
Olympic skating champion Robin Cousins was the last holder of the award, and he said that without it he couldn't have won his medal in Lake Placid. In 15 months it had been worth £8,000, but now he's turned professional. Sebastian Coe has no idea how much it'll be worth to him, but he need never worry again about training expenses as he prepares for the 1984 Olympics in Los Angeles. But athletics looks like going open soon, and that could mean the end of the award.
I think it's fair to say that the sport will, it's due for drastic change, and the most likely outcome is that it will go open within the next year, 2 years. It's very difficult to put an actual time on it, but nothing stays static. So, when that does happen, other things are bound to follow.
Coe's run-up to the Moscow Olympics was also financed by the Sports Aid Foundation, as he was one of the country's elite squad. The money helped to pay for his training as he shattered world records on his way to his Olympic medal. From today, there's no financial barrier to stop Coe repeating his Olympic success in 3 years' time.
The unique community.
Pinch more than an inch? Try the Kellogg's Special K breakfast. It's the enjoyable way to cut down on calories. Details on every weight-watching packet.
This young man can certainly kick a ball in all kinds of ways. The scrimmage, the ball delivered out to Donovan. He was in exactly the right place and he had time to make it absolutely accurate and right and lift Swansea up to 17 points.
Well, Swansea added a final penalty to make their final winning score 20 points to 9. And there's a really strong Welsh interest in our match next week when we go to the Reddings, to Moseley, a club which is unbeaten after 13 matches this season. This weekend they beat Cardiff, and now on Rugby Special they face the might of the Welsh Cup winners Newport. So I hope you'll be back with us on Rugby Special next Sunday, Moseley against Newport.
Donald Eyre visits Romania in The Long Search.
The pubs of Plymouth announce that it's evening, a message the bowlers have well understood. And as turnstones turn their minds towards supper, the talk is of Teddy's last wood. It was drawn to the jack like a magnet. A shot Drake would have been proud to see. He might not have stopped for the Armada, but he'd have stopped for a pint of JC.
Sometimes there's only one beer good enough. John Courage.
And now on BBC One, Harry Carpenter introduces Sports Night.
Good evening. 2 hours of sport for you tonight, including a football bonanza. We shall see all 4 British teams who are bidding to reach the semi-finals in Europe. Our main action comes from Anfield.
Brian Clough and Forest win 2-0 in Europe, Arsenal only draw, and Rats, the old campaigner, takes his last parade. That's in a couple of minutes.
And a smile makes me feel good, makes me feel nice. Have a Coke and a smile, that's the way it should be. And I'd like to see the whole world smiling with me. Coca-Cola and Sprite, have a Coke and a smile, a Coke and a smile.
Tomorrow night, Arnhem 80. It looks like just another sports programme. The difference is that all the participants are in some way disabled.
8 years ago, somebody shot me. It was a gunshot accident. And at that time, I was a judo teacher and a karate champion. I prepared world championship. And suddenly I was in a chair. But plus, I was a physical therapist, and I'm still doing physical therapy. And so I decided to change my life, and I started traveling. I traveled all over the world, and I went from Red China to Vietnam, and I hitchhiked from all around the world once.
Cliff Morgan meets some of the competitors and shows some of the events in the 6th Olympic Games for the Disabled. Arnhem 80 is tomorrow at 7 o'clock on BBC One.
On 2 now, the pick of today's play in Wimbledon 80, Match of the Day. Here on BBC One, On Giant Shoulders, a dramatic reconstruction of the true story about a couple and the thalidomide child they adopted.
There's a double role for Barry Sheene on World of Sport. He joins the commentary team for the exciting Yamaha Pro-Am race, and at 3:10 he's on his bike for the Superbike Challenge. Sheene on the box, World of Sport, next Saturday.
July the 4th, a great day to celebrate Daily Star's new two-card bingo.
Twice the cards, twice the numbers, twice the score. Twice the chances every game to applaud. There are thousands every week to be won. Daily Star two-card bingo, so much fun.
If you haven't got your card, get one from your newsagent.
Our motor oil has a low viscosity for cold starts. It also protects against bearing wear and corrosion, which is why Nicky Lauda uses it in the car he drives to work. But our formula also gives maximum protection at high speeds, which is why Nicky relies on it in the car he drives after he gets there. Unipart Super Multigrade, Formula 1, M1, same one.
Yashevets and Kathy Jordan earlier today. And in the other half, Rosemary Casals and Wendy Turnbull have won their match, and in the other semi-final they will meet Barbara Potter and Sharon Walsh for the number 7 seeds. A defeat for Virginia Wade again today in the mixed doubles, playing with Bob Hewitt. They lost to Sherwood Stewart and Joanne Russell, the number 3 seeds. Well, let me tell you, there's a very fine doubles match going on BBC Two at this moment. From the centre court, Fleming and McEnroe are involved in that. We shall be back for the ladies' semi-finals tomorrow at 1:45 BBC One.
Up-to-the-minute scores, together with reports and background stories from Wimbledon, are available on the BBC's teletext service, CFAX.
No preservatives.
Forward and right.
No added colouring.
Back, left and
No
forward.
artificial flavouring.
Stretch.
Far fewer calories than most breakfast cereals. Kellogg's All Bran. You're eating natural wheat bran with its own nutty taste and the original high-fibre breakfast cereal. Eat yourself fitter, not fatter, with Kellogg's All Bran.
Good.
Well, talking of golf, at 11:20 tonight, Severiano Ballesteros and Lee Trevino team up on the Old Course St Andrews to play Greg Norman and Hal Sutton for the Epsom Trophy. Peter Ellis introduces the One Club Challenge at 11:20. Now on BBC One, Michael Parkinson presents Film 86. In 10 minutes on BBC Two, Ireland plays Wales in the Indoor World Bowls Championship. Here on One, the sport is golf and the venue the Old Course St Andrews.
This match, Lee and Sevi won by 2 strokes, and a very entertaining match it was indeed. And gentlemen, for our game today, what club are you going to select? Last time it was a 5-iron. Are you going to stick with that?
I'm going with the same thing. Yeah.
Same thing, Sevi?
Yeah, I stay with the same thing too.
You think that's good, eh?
I play 1 over par, so...
Once again, it's tag team time. 30 minutes of tag. 2 falls, 2 submissions, 2 knockouts, 2 disqualifications to decide the winners. Yes, they've got to get rid of 2 men. One corner's got to get rid of both opponents before this bout is over. in the ring, boys. Big Daddy in the star-studded get-up there, brand new black and white star. There he is, the blonde from Halifax, Big Daddy, and his partner Tony Sinclair in the silver boots. The opponents, giant haystacks on the left with the long hair, and almost as big but not quite, Albert Hellon, Hillbilly Hellon from the US. And the poor unfortunate man who has to look after the whole thing, Emile Poil, the referee. The referee is often known and referred to as the third man in the ring. This afternoon he could easily be number 5. So far, it's Haystacks versus Tony Sinclair. And he went in too close then, Sinclair. Now he's got the strongholds at his mercy. He may be the heavyweight champion of Great Britain, but when he gets up against a giant like this, he's really could be in trouble if he goes in close.
Tony, come on!
The sort of escape move that might get him out of trouble. Sinclair getting an early posting, and they can see that his nose has already got a nosebleed. He's a bit angry about it, so he comes back. Oh, really following up everything now, Tony Sinclair. And what a rope burn right across the shoulder blades at the back there, Tony Sinclair. From that posting, no doubt. Must have stood along the ropes quite a bit before landing in the corner. The body check against that man mounted, but dangerous. There's the rope burn you can see on the Sinclair's left shoulder blade especially, right across. Look at that, the nosebleed, and the tag match not more than a couple of minutes old. It's a pretty rough start for the Sinclair Big Daddy corner. And a flying tackle, but so that's Big Daddy worried about his partner Tony Sinclair there. Tony Sinclair going in for a flying tackle then on the big man. He's doing it again. Now he will never ever balance him, surely, will he? The crowd hopes so. Oh, it's the easy slide. Oh, the splash, but too late. Tony Sinclair smelt that coming. And a tag. Big Daddy comes in. So Haystack goes up. And for the first time on television in this country, from Tennessee, United States of America, Albert Hillbilly Hellon. And he walked into that one. He shouldn't have. And Hellon is counted on a pinfall right from the start, his first entrance.
Ladies and gentlemen, in 3 minutes, 55 seconds, with his elbows speciality, the opening fall, Big Daddy. So Tony Sinclair happy despite his nosebleed and his
rope burn on his back, but his partner has just settled the situation as far as the first fall is concerned in just 3 minutes, 65 seconds.
Seconds away, second session.
3:55, I meant, of course, 3:55, just under the 4 minutes. And Helen doesn't seem to want to go on. He's a barefoot wrestler, and I really wish he had something on his head, too. But he's got to go. If he's continued this bout, he's got to go, otherwise he's Haystack by himself. Tony Sinclair helping him further out. Nobody can quite understand, so it's a tag, and Haystack comes in against Sinclair. And a little more nose trouble for Sinclair here. First public warning to Haystack.
Giant Haystacks gets his first public warning.
And Sinclair clear out. Now what sort of a landing there to Tony Sinclair?
3, 11, 4, 5.
And again. And there's a close-up. She's right in front of our ringside camera. But doesn't seem to worry in those two falls. But a nice tag as he goes out the other side, but he tags his partner as he does so. And Big Daddy a bit mad about that, and in he goes the whole way. Big Daddy really putting all his weight behind this, and Haystack's had enough. Out he goes. Helen, his partner, doesn't want to come in. Neither of the opponents want to come anywhere near them. And down Haystacks goes, almost getting his chin, and he's finished. He's had enough. He's off back to the dressing room. And Big Daddy's following him. We're going to try and get him back. In the meantime, Tony Sinclair in the ring is doing his best with Helen. Hillbilly is getting a lot of stick from Sinclair now. And a quick clutch hold, a slam, and a follow down, but no. Cross press at last, Tony Sinclair. And this could be the winner for the Big Daddy Sinclair outfit. He's done it. And the whole thing only took 6 minutes. And Big Daddy's back, but he hasn't got Haystacks with him. I presume he went to fetch
Ladies and gentlemen,
Haystack.
in 6 minutes, the second and winning fall, Tony Sinclair and Big Daddy. And now, ladies and gentlemen, your appreciation for Hillbilly Heron and his absent partner, Giant Haystacks.
Got to be really careful. He's down one fall and he's one public warning against him already. And knowing his temper, he'll probably ask for plenty more public warnings on his way to what he hopes will be the equalizer. Leans forward, taking those punishing forearm smashes there to his throat. Doesn't like the smack too much, though. Well, what sort of a landing for Ray Steele? Right hook, right hook. And that's the second public warning.
Kojak Kirk gets his second and final public warning.
And now Ray Steele. Yes, he's still all right. But Kirk won't even allow him to get in. Nice butt posting there by Steele from outside the ring there. Again, the quick uppercut forearm smash. Steele trying to close the ropes and making it. But now he's out. And that back elbow and Steele and right to the throat again. Now Steele in trouble. 6, 7, 8, and Kirk goes down before the count's finished, and he won't be allowed to get away with that for sure. That has got to be a disqualification. Instant. Yes, no chance. He's stupid, man, because if he hadn't done that, he probably would have won it on a knockout anyway. But the winner, Steele, on a disqualification in round 4. George Mitchell, RMC.
Ladies and gentlemen, in 2 minutes, 10 seconds of round 4, the referee's decision, Kojak Kirk has been disqualified. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the winner of this contest, Ray Steele.
And with that announcement, for Steele the winner, although in a bit of a bad state on the canvas still, but looked after by his sex. There's the loser going off back to his dressing room, disqualified. But with that win for Ray Steele.
At 8:10, Floodlit Rugby League from Bellevue with live second-half coverage of the quarter-final match between Wakefield and Hull Kingston Rovers.
See Sevi at Sandmore. It's the sporting spectacular of 1983, the Car Care Plan International Golf Tournament and Motor Show. Follow Europe's top golfers battle for £60,000 prize money. See the latest cars on show. Treat the entire family. Drop in at Sandmore Golf Club Leeds for the hole-in-one golf tournament this week.
And former world title holder Terry Griffiths shows us all how to play snooker like a champion. And we'll also be asking you what you'd like to ask Mrs. Thatcher. So I hope you'll join us for another week nationwide.
And Prince Charles takes another tumble from a horse.
Pennine Dummy champion Jack Thompson is after Bill Holmes' All England title. It'll be a tight match. Jack's first set-up, and he's played an ace. And Bill's replied with a bunch of crisants. Now Jack's drawn a pint of trophy and stuff. But wait on, old Bill's left standing. Jack's away, and oh, what a finale! Jack's expert on tippling as well as toppling. He likes a brew with good head and body. He's only happy holding trophy. Trophy best. Head and body above the rest.
At Lord's, a devastating win for Somerset in the Benson and Hedges final. And at Ascot, the odds-on favourite Assert loses the King George Diamond Stakes by a neck.
I like to choose where I go, choose what I pay, enjoy my holiday my way. I'm choosing Pontins 'cause I'm choosy.
It's all choice at Pontins. Choose a pretty chalet or a comfortable room. Then choose how you eat. Self-catering, table service, or help yourself to a feast. At night, there's a wonderful choice of entertainment, friends, and fun. By day, games galore. If you choose to leave the kids, there's always someone to look after them. Best of all, choose how you pay. Early season prices from about £55 a week.
I'm choosing Pontins 'cause I'm choosy.
Send for Pontins' new brochure to help you be choosy.
Now to the test match they're already calling one of the greatest ever. England achieved the almost impossible by turning what looked like certain defeat into a victory, which has earned them a place in cricketing history. When the Australian second innings began this morning at Headingley, they only had to make 130 runs to be 2 up in the series. But they were up against Bob Willis bowling at his devastating best. Michael Blakey reports on a remarkable day's cricket.
Botham was given the new ball to see if he could add to his 199 runs and his 6 first innings wickets. Wood gone for 10, but Australia were still clear favourites. As Willis began his best ever bowling spell, Australia only wanted 74 to win with 9 wickets left. Shuffle out and 2 down, but plenty of time to get the runs. And that brought Kim Hughes to the crease, but Botham still hadn't finished his great all-round performance. This time there was no mistake in the slips. Botham's catch dismissed Hughes for a duck. Willis picked up his 3rd wicket off 11 balls before lunch. Australia must have spent lunch thinking their last 6 batsmen could score 72 runs. But if they did, they reckon without the fighting spirit of Bob Willis. And that was the end of Dyson, the century maker in the first innings. In that first innings, England had dropped some easy catches, but today it all came right. Dilly was under tremendous pressure as the ball soared above his head. Marsh gone and a fifth wicket for Willis. By now the bookmakers had offered 500 to 1 against England must have been sweating. Lilly had scored a valuable 17. The odds looked to be against Gatting making the catch. So the last man in and 19 to win. Willis 8 for 43. England had won by 18 runs after having to follow on. All good stuff for the record books, but it was the manner of the victory that counted today. The crowd had seen history made for half-price entrants. A man of the match in Botham, after all the problems of the last 12 months, must have savoured every moment of the famous victory. So the team were happy and the crowd were happy, but it was nothing compared with the supporter who walked into the bookmakers' tent at Headingley on Saturday when all seemed lost for England.
How much have you just collected?
£2.5 grand.
£2,500?
Yeah.
So you put how much on when?
A fiver at 500 to 1.
Well, they're not so delighted in Australia. In fact, they can't believe it.
It's looking good, Mr. McEnroe. What are you, a comedian? I meant your shave. It's very close. Of course. I shave with Bic. Yes, I've seen the commercial. It's all true. Bic is beautiful, smooth, close, comfortable. How Bic does it beats me. And where do you spend all the money you save, Mr. McEnroe? Tennis lessons.
Bic, the shave that saves.
Good evening. Europe's golfers tonight did what the Americans always said was impossible and won the Ryder Cup for the first time in the United States.
33 to 1. Second number 23 Whiskey Go-Go 33 to 1. Third number 29 Snailwell 20 to 1. And fourth number 22 Tyrene 16 to 1, 22 ran. 405 first number 2 Henry Bishop 13 to 8 favourite. Second number 9 Collars and Cuffs 15 to 2. Third number 16 Royal Portora 7 to 1, 10 ran. 435 first number 6 Crown Board 11 to 8 favourite. Second number 3 Capello 25 to 1. Third number 10 Money for Jam 15 to 2, 22 ran. At Bangor 415 first number 32 Pearly King 10 to 1. Second number 30 Calca Shandy 5 to 4 favourite. And third number 11 Gather Ye Roses 20 to 1, 15 ran.
Back to football and the pools news, and with 7 score draws and 5 goalless games on the coupons, treble chance punters can stand by for a good payout this week. Claim by telegrams if you have 23 points. Let's have a look at the situation at the top and bottom of the second division. Chelsea now 2 points clear, with Leicester having moved up into second place, beating Burnley. Birmingham lost to Cambridge today, so they go down to third place. Queen's Park Rangers and Luton remain 4th and 5th. They drew today, and Sunderland stays 6th. At the foot, the only change is that Watford, who lost to Shrewsbury, go down below Bristol Rovers. They improve a point, of course, Bristol Rovers having beaten Wrexham, and below that, Burnley, Charlton and Fulham all lost. Let's have a look at the situation at the tops of Divisions 3 and 4. Well, Sheffield Wednesday stay at the very top, just on goal difference over Grimsby. Blackburn, who beat Chesterfield, go third. Chesterfield dropping down into 4th place, and Colchester 5th, and Sheffield United are 6th. At the top of Division 4, well, it's still Walsall clear by 7 points now ahead of Huddersfield. Portsmouth remain in 3rd place, and there's no change below that. Bradford City, Newport and Peterborough 4th, 5th and 6th. Today, the new world middleweight champion, Alan Minter, was paid the tribute of an official reception by the people of his hometown, Crawley in Sussex. They were out in their thousands to show the pride and joy they feel at Alan's success in Las Vegas, and not surprisingly, he too was a very proud and a very happy young man.
We have a new middleweight champion of the world. But let me tell you this now. The happiest moment of my life is to come home to Crawley to see you people. It's been absolutely unbelievable. When I say I've won the middleweight championship of the world for Britain, that is right. But let me tell you this. To be the middleweight champion of the world the middleweight champion of the world, is also for Crawley. And let me say, I hope, please God, that it stays in Crawley for a long, long time.
Well, we saw the emotion upon that man's face, of course, last Sunday in Las Vegas, and I'm sure that was a very emotional experience for him today as well. Back to football now, news of the second division. Fulham's Jeff Banton has picked a big day to score his first league goals. Banton got 2 at Upton Park to deal a blow to West Ham's promotion hopes. It was a great fight back by the bottom club Fulham after Alan Devonshire had given Hammers an early lead. Teddy Maybank scored Fulham's first goal, and after a Ray Stewart penalty had given West Ham the lead for the second time. Banton struck twice before the interval. Queen's Park Rangers, another London club in the promotion race, had Paul Goddard to thank for their tremendous start against Luton at Loftus Road. He scored twice in 31 minutes, but Brian Steam put Luton back into the game in the second half. Then with 10 minutes left, Ricky Hill headed Luton level. A first half header by Alan Young put Leicester on the way to victory at Burnley. Paul Edwards added a second before Derek Scott got one back for Burnley. Second place Birmingham didn't look the part at Cambridge, where Tom Finney and George Riley put Cambridge ahead before Frank Worthington scored for Birmingham. And at Eastville, Wrexham's Wayne Shigilski was sent off 5 minutes from time after receiving a second booking by referee Daniel Vickers. Right, let's have a look at the soccer this weekend on ITV. The games between Aston Villa and Ipswich, Middlesbrough and Everton, Liverpool and Brighton, Bristol Rovers and Wrexham, Chelsea and Orient, Colchester and Brentford, Huddersfield and Bradford, Portsmouth and Walsall. You'll see the highlights of at least one of those games wherever you are. And that is all we have time for today. I hope that you've enjoyed sharing at least part of the afternoon with us, and you're all invited next week when we have soccer with On the Ball, the women's boat race, Oxford versus Cambridge, tennis, and the final of the £150,000 Avon Women's Championship from Madison Square Garden, wrestling and another appearance of Big Daddy in tag, and an ITV7 that continues our coverage of the pick of the fat season at Salisbury with 2 big races, the 1,000 guineas and the 2,000 guineas trial stakes, and we have National Hunt Racing from Ayr as well for an ITV7. I say goodbye, leaving you with King's Ride's triumph in the big race today, the William Hill Lincoln Handicap. From all of us on World of Sport, cheerio.
Goodwood Racecourse in Sussex is to get a new grandstand and other facilities costing nearly £3 million. The improvements have been made possible by an interest-free loan from the Horse Race Betting Levy Board. Lord March, the chairman of Goodwood Racecourse Limited, says if the Levy Board hadn't intervened, Goodwood might have had to close within 5 years. A 27-year-old car worker accused of murdering his wife on Boxing Day was freed on bail by magistrates at Reading today. Gordon Phillips of Hare Hatch near Reading was charged with murdering his 24-year-old wife Eileen. He was remanded for 6 weeks on a surety of £500 bail on condition he lives with relatives at Maidenhead. Football, and Bournemouth's manager John Benson feels they can make it third time lucky against Wimbledon when they meet in the FA Cup second round replay at Dean Court tonight. He said today that in 2 previous encounters, Bournemouth were the better team. Striker Steve Massey will again be in tonight's squad, but the final lineup won't be decided until just before the match. That's the news for the moment. We'll have more news on Saturday at 10 to 6.
Should be here in 4 minutes.
Don't fuss, Mum. You know what I like.
Blooming taters out here, Sarge. Put the kettle on.
When you find yourself with a hungry moment, just put the kettle on and make a pot noodle. Tender pasta noodles with vegetables and soya pieces in a rich, savoury sauce. Choose from 5 tasty flavours and eat hot from the pot.
Now mind your shirt, Gerald.
So try pot noodle today. Now in new sweet and sour and cheese and tomato flavours.
Well, I've got a little unexpected extra minute, which is very useful actually, because it enables me just to take the clip off the announcer's friend and the viewer's Bible and turn the page of the TV Times and take a look ahead with you to tonight here in Anglia. Well, of course, after About Anglia at 6:35.
Ron Atkinson reckons he's got the style and the class that Manchester United want. Well, I had the pleasure of telling him to his face exactly what I thought about him. Read about it in The Sun.
Only in The Sun, the soccer scoop of the century. Harry Gregg blows the lid off Manchester United.
I'll tell you about the scandal that rocked Old Trafford to its foundations, the rise and almost fall of Gary Bailey, how Martin Edwards took the chair that should have gone to Matt Busby.
Plus bingo in The Sun. $500,000 won and another $500,000 waiting. £50,000 to be won this week. It's all in The Sun.
Tennis now. Britain's #1, Buster Mottram, is out of Wimbledon, beaten by the American Victor Amaya. But the rain beat the championships, and finally they called it a day. The big match on the centre court was between John McEnroe and the Mexican Raul Ramirez. Ian Edwards, our sports correspondent, watched the game.
Following the drama of the first 2 days, the atmosphere generated by John McEnroe on centre court was as near sweetness and light as he could muster. The umpire, Bob Jenkins, went so far as to commend him for his behaviour, even though one service from Raul Ramirez was quite clearly a fault. McEnroe had good reason to question the decision, but after a short pause for thought, he accepted the loss of a point and earned the sympathetic applause of the crowd. Though the match was played in a subdued mood, both he and Ramirez were occasionally able to play some tennis of the highest quality before the rain came down. Match is still finely poised and will continue tomorrow. Ian Edwards, ITN Sport, Wimbledon.
While McEnroe was behaving perfectly, his doubles partner Peter Fleming was in trouble in his match against Tim Gullickson. Fleming was given a public warning and then penalised for mocking gestures towards an official. Just to remind you, Buster Mottram beaten by the American Victor Amaya, Bjorn Borg, the defending champion, threw in straight sets. The top ladies had a good day, Chris Evert went through easily, and so did Martina Navratilova playing Sue Mascarin. Cricket in the Benson and Hedges Cup quarter-finals. At Headingley, Somerset beat Yorkshire by 3 wickets. At Trent Bridge, Surrey beat Nottinghamshire by 47 runs. At Hove, Sussex had played 28 overs before the game with Leicestershire was rained off, and at Canterbury, no play today between Kent and Warwickshire.
And now the main points again. 6 Britons are feared dead on an ore carrier in Rotterdam Harbour after an explosion. And the 12-year-old daughter of a former Saudi diplomat who was kidnapped in London has been freed unharmed.
Finally, a district council in Somerset have thought up an earthy wedding present for Prince Charles and Lady Diana. Sedgemoor District Council are to give them a ton of peat worth £127 for the garden. The council think the peat produced locally will be more useful than a lot of other presents which might end up in the basement of...
In just a moment, the Thames Late News with Robin Houston, followed by coverage of tonight's Royal Charity Film Premiere.
A break from work, a welcome sight. Hot beef, beef, Bovril puts us right. It bucks us up, warms right through, helps us through the day.
Bovril. Delicious, warming, reviving. There's nothing quite like Bovril's beefy taste to put new heart into you. Fast.
It bucks us up, warms right through, helps us through the day.
Well, Jimmy Lindley turned out to be Julian Wilson, who's moving quickly now to read the runners and riders in the first.
Yes, you wouldn't catch me missing out on a chance to talk to Frank or David. Well, these are the runners and riders. There's one absentee, in fact, which is number 6, Wickwell. But those who do go are number 1, Clywyd, ridden by Jenny Golding. 4, Mermatch, ridden by Joe Grinier, who claims £3. 5 is Rhiannon, who's ridden by Sue Vergette. 8 is Baronord, ridden by Judy Woodward, claiming £3. 9 is Hill Venture, Carmen Peacock, claiming £3. 10 is Home Wind, Blinkert, has been before, ridden by Lynn Wallace, claiming £3. 11 is Leith Prince, Sharon James, claiming £3. 13, Very Friendly, Elaine Meller. 14, Young Jeff, Sally Maloney, claiming £3. 16, Moonpad, Franco Vittadini. 19, Pipal, whose Blinkert, has been before, ridden by Judy Fairhurst, claiming £3. And 20, Chaplin's Nightclub, ridden by Ellen Guest, who doesn't claim by any manner of means. An on-runner, I say, is Wickwell, number 6, and Franca, in fact, is 24 points clear at present of her nearest rival. This is her mount, Moonpad. Diana Jones is her nearest rival in the Daily Mirror Ladies Championship, and her mount, Wickwell, doesn't run. But Elaine Mello, who rides in this race, Elaine has 40 points. But Moonpad, a 6-4 shot in the early market in the ring, the first we see in the eyes of Jimmy Lindley.
Thank you, Julian, and Franco Vittadini looking as pretty as ever. Number 16, Moonpad, as Julian told you, last time out was beaten just under a length by Roycia. That was over 1.25 miles at Leicester 2 weeks ago.
When it's 1, 2, 3, for the goodness food, it's 1, 2, ski. For you and me, 1, 2, ski, for the full of fitness
It's gonna be 1, 2, ski, 1, 2, ski. When it's 1, 2, 3, it's got to be 1, 2, ski.
Don't miss the Braniff Men's Doubles Tennis Olympia. This week from Tuesday to Sunday. Book now on 01 931 1121 931 1121.
Liverpool could have demoralised the rest of the First Division by beating Manchester United at Anfield. They failed, but only just. Norman Whiteside got the last-minute equaliser, which stopped Liverpool going 6 points clear after Craig Johnston had put them ahead. Not only did Liverpool lose 2 points, but Kenny Dalglish could be out for a month with a fractured cheekbone. So, no change at the top, and West Ham remained third after a 2-2 draw at Notts County. Their neighbours Forest move ahead of Southampton with a 3-2 win at Luton. 2 Maurice Johnston goals for Watford completed a disastrous Christmas for Spurs, who lost 3-2. Ray Clements was even jeered by his own supporters as his team let in their 15th goal in 5 games. Sheffield Wednesday bounced back to the top of Division 2 with a 3-0 win over Oldham. Chelsea's short-lived reign was ended by defeat at Middlesbrough. Only goal difference keeps them ahead of Newcastle, who beat Barnsley 1-0. And Grimsby maintained their challenge with a 1-1 draw at Fulham.
Fulham had more than one chance of taking an early lead, this one falling to Davies. Batch in the Grimsby goal proving his worth. But unfortunately for him, Batch provided Fulham with their goal when he brought down Coney in the penalty area. Cliff Carr was given the job of taking the spot kick. In the second half, Grimsby made light of the difficult conditions and displayed skill in searching for the equaliser. Their centre-forward Drinkle did the right thing, but even he must consider himself fortunate to score. In the last quarter, as the rain beat down steadily, it was Fulham going for a much-needed victory, who pulled out all the stops. But Batch redeemed himself, helping Grimsby to keep the vital point they'll need in their push for promotion. Ian Edwards, ITN Sport, Craven Cottage.
Now a check on tonight's games. In Division 1, Coventry 2, Sunderland 1. Division 3, Southend 2, Hull 2. Division 4, Chesterfield 0, Halifax 0. Crewe 2, Torquay 1. Northampton 1, Bury 0, Stockport 1, Hartlepool 0, and Swindon against Bristol City was postponed.
Suddenly, this afternoon, with the match less than 24 hours away, a truck burst onto the Gisborne rugby ground. It raced round, tearing up the turf. Broken glass was scattered, although some of them failed to burst. It was exactly the kind of incident that the massive police reinforcements brought in here had hoped to prevent. The demonstrators, 3 women and a man, were caught and pulled out of the van and arrested. It was then up to the local officials to try to collect the broken glass in time for the match to go ahead.
It had to be done. The police wouldn't allow peaceful protests, so it had to be done.
This was the most serious anti-tour demonstration yet. But the Springboks have been met by demonstrators almost everywhere they go, by night as well as day, and usually by hostile ones. But when they went to a Maori ceremony, there were more friendly faces and hostile ones. Even this little ceremony was really a welcome, the team was assured. However, they were warned there'd be no more welcomes unless South Africa changed. Ceremonial turned to celebration, with Tobias, the only non-white member of the team, the center of attraction. The whole evening became an emotional release for the South Africans, the first break since they got here. The 53% of New Zealanders against the tour were obviously not represented. But then it was back to training to shed the last of the jet lag. The police were on hand, and so on the fence were the kids. Jim Biddulph, BBC, New Zealand.
These poor souls are pushed around the town by the nurses in wheelchairs, and not being a doctor, I wouldn't know, but I would hazard a guess that they wouldn't know whether they're in Timoth or Timbuktu.
Cricket, and England again lost to Australia today in the World Series Cup.
After the match, the captain, Bob Willis, said his team wasn't playing much better than a county side, and he was alarmed at their indiscriminate batting. This report from David Cass.
Australians relish nothing more than making the Poms look silly. So when Jeff Miller was involved in a bad running mix-up and England collapsed again, they must have been ecstatic. Derek Randall went some of the way towards redeeming his surrender of yesterday by top scoring, with 57 of England's poor total of 182 all out. After such a batting failure, Ian Botham took 3 Australian wickets, but the home side won comfortably. They had 7 wickets in hand and have already proved themselves far better than England in every department.
And that's all from me for this evening. Good night.
Well, they play rugby in Wales anyway. Everybody knows that.
Yes, it's true. But more people in Wales play soccer than play rugby.
Colchester 3, Cambridge 1. Doncaster 1, Crystal Palace 0. Everton 1, Coventry 1. Grimsby 1, Watford 0. And another First Division club beaten, Huddersfield 1, Brighton 0. Luton 0, Wrexham 2. Middlesbrough 2, Plymouth 1. Millwall 3, Oxford 3. Oldham 1, Newport 0. Preston 1, Leicester 0. Queen's Park Rangers 5, Portsmouth 0. And a big upset, Sheffield United 1, Arsenal 0. Bob Hatton got the goal. Shrewsbury 3, West Bromwich Albion 3. Southampton 1, Chelsea 1. And Brechin's game against Clyde in the Scottish League Division 2 was postponed, a waterlogged ground.
But tonight the world watches Egypt.
Can your colour television answer you back? This pie set with teletext can. Ask it some questions.
How did Everton do?
Everton 1, Stoke 1.
England's cricketers have a great chance of winning the Adelaide Test and with it the series. Their batsman, led by Bob Taylor, made 360. Taylor was out to the last ball before lunch for 97, just short of his first Test century. Australia's batsmen were soon in trouble with Darling bowled by Botham, but by the close they'd rallied to 82 for 2, still needing 284 to win with 1 day left. And the England batsman Geoffrey Boycott is to stay with Yorkshire, the team that sacked him as captain last year. He was given until today to accept a 2-year contract as a player with the club. Boycott said he'd given his life to Yorkshire cricket and he wanted to see the team he'd helped build go on and win. In Yorkshire, Tim Hewitt asked the club chairman if there might be friction between Boycott and his successor, Jackie Hampshire.
Well, I hope not. I mean, they're both grown-up men, and they have a set of circumstances to deal with it, and they ought to be careful of dealing with it.
I remember talking to you a couple of months ago when this first came up, and at that time you did profess to feeling that 2 or 3 players might leave the club were Boycott to return.
This was, I think, a possibility, yes.
Does it remain a possibility?
Oh, no, I don't think so, no, because this was entirely related to Geoffrey Boycott being the captain of the team. As a member of the team, that's quite a different proposition altogether.
The weather is still disrupting soccer and several of tonight's matches have been postponed. Scotland already has some of the worst fixture congestion and tonight's cup ties at Rangers, Dumbarton, Hibernian, Morton and Ayr are all off. The bigger Scottish clubs are now feeling the effects financially, as David Cass reports from Edinburgh.
Few Scottish clubs retain full-time playing staff. For those like Heart of Midlothian who do, the weekly wages bill is around £3,000. Total running costs are £5,000, so when there's no gate money coming in, the problems are great. Although the pitch is fit for training, the last match at Tynecastle was a month ago. The Scottish League has advanced £140,000 to tide the clubs over, but there's little hope of recovering income lost from cancelled Saturday games.
Well, it's definitely going to hit us financially wise because, as you say, the Saturday is the day they'll all turn out, whereas midweek a lot of people work at nights and by the time they get home they just can't be bothered coming out on a Wednesday night.
The Scottish season always starts before the English one, but how tough do you think it's going to be to complete the programme without lengthening the season, given the fact that worse weather might be coming?
Well, it's possible we could still have bad weather, especially up here, but I feel that the league, as they've done before, they have lengthened the season. It all depends on the weather again. If the weather still continues to be as bad as it has been, I don't see us getting it finished in time for the end of the season, but there will be no problems. I think another week or a fortnight can see it through.
And it's not only the big professional clubs that have been hit. The amateur game here in Scotland has probably suffered even more. Some leagues have already announced that their programme will have to run until August if it's to be completed, and that'll clash with next season's fixtures. So, football looks like becoming an all-year-round game here in Scotland in 1979.
David Cass up in Edinburgh. That's the lunchtime news, and we're back again at 5:40. Let's look at the nationwide weather picture from Michael Fish.
A look inside the Radio Times reveals the fantastic new children's opera Where the Wild Things Are, and a profile of the roaring success of this colourful world. And with a concern for the world of wild things, BBC Two's topical nature programme returns and identifies the enemies and captures the beauty of an endangered species. Also in the frame, the world beater Steve Davis gets his eye in for 21 days of top-class snooker, starting on Saturday on 2, as he sets his sights on the 1984 World Championship. And undisputed champions in 1924, Harold Abrahams and Eric Liddell, are immortalised in the Oscar-winning Chariots of Fire. The success story of the British cinema has its television premiere on Easter Day on BBC One, and is running for glory on the front cover of the new Radio Times.
Okay, let's join the Roundtrees Festival. Chocolates with lots of different centres. Each one covered in chocolate, milk or plain. It's a new box of chocolates, and Roundtrees Festival goes on and on. Join the Roundtrees Festival.
Well, the time now, almost exactly 25 minutes past 1. Insomniacs might care to note that Radio 2 is on the air throughout the night, but for the rest of us, this is Peter Bolgar on behalf of all of us on 2, wishing you a very good night. Good night.
Please like, share, and subscribe to The Good, the Bad, and The Ugly Show.
Because there's no room left in hell.
Fine, thanks.
What's your story?
Well, I'm in young girls' pants. I manufacture pants.
Oh, what filth.
Why don't you prove it now?
I don't feel that there's any great interest in it. Clearly, you must have felt the world wanted to know what your private parts looked like, and now the world knows.
Suggesting dummies! Dummies! A consonant, please, Carol.
C.
A vowel.
That is E.
Another vowel.
Another vowel. I.
Consonant.